Republican National Committee. As a young legislator in 1969, I made it a point to meet Consuelo Bailey at her home. She exuded competence, leadership, and character, and it was sad that she didn't run for governor. She was a great woman, worked her way up in a man's world, and, if you'll pardon the expression, she would have eaten Madeline Kunin for breakfast. This is John McClory. Thanks for listening.
Hi, this is Alan Rubel. I serve on the board at Southern Vermont Home Health and Hospice. I also chair the Community Relations and Development Committee.
I have a sweet message for you today. Life is sweet. Eat a chocolate treat.
CVHHH has partnered with Burnt Chocolates of Vermont again this year for a Valentine's Day fundraiser. Proceeds from every 1 pound box of burnt chocolate truffles that you purchase from CVHHH goes right back into supporting programming and services for Central Vermonters at home. Botanical Florals, forget-me-not flowers and gifts. These Flowers and Garden Shop and the Pink Shutter are also offering a special 2 truffle box of burned truffles to support our organization. Prepare for Valentine's Day now. Purchase your truffles today. Visit cvhhh.org. Thank you very much for supporting Southern Vermont Home Health and Hospice.
Cold weather, the Willie's store in Greensboro is your destination for everything. Ice fishing supplies, snow shovels, small area heaters, crock pots for those great roast stews and casseroles. Pick up window kits and weather stripping. Find choice meats and seafood in Willie's store too. Now head up to the clothing department for warm clothes, boots, vests, jackets, darn tough socks, gloves, and mittens too. Find the exceptional wine department as well. If Willie's doesn't have it, you could probably get along without it. But Willie's store in Greensboro, across from Caspian Lake.
At Matt Clark's Northern Basement Systems, they specialize in all things basement-y. Matt Clark's Northern Basement Systems is the leading basement waterproofing, crawl space, and moisture control and foundation repair contractor in Vermont and New Hampshire. Their state-of-the-art features will help get the water out of your basement and keep your basement dry now while preventing basement leaks and flooding far into the future. Let them weatherize your drafty crawl spaces and basements using spray foam insulation. Matt Clark's Northern Basement Systems. They specialize in all things basement-y.
WDEV at 90 is underwritten by Northfield Savings Bank. They're the bank of you and everything you do. At nsbvt.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Celebrating 90 years. WDEV. We all know that Vermont is a place like no other. Join host Ricks and Gary for Vermont Viewpoint, weekday mornings from 9 to 11, as he celebrates what makes Vermont so unique and special. If you can't listen live, you can always listen to the free podcast available at WDEVradio.com. Brought to you by the Warren Store. Funky, friendly, and almost world-famous WarrenStore.com. The Vermont Viewpoint podcast at WDEVradio.com. The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to WDEV@RadioVermont.com.
The teams you care about.
Well, the Patriots have some soul-searching to do, and they've got a long off-season now to figure out the answers.
The stories that matter to you.
Well, UVM certainly put Stony Brook and the rest of the conference on notice with that performance, and now this is the team we wanted to see out of the Catamounts.
This is your home for New England sports.
All right, football's over. Let's get the lockout over, too. Let's get to baseball. I need the Red Sox back.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Brady Farkas Show on a Tuesday right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Mostly full show today. We're up until 6:45. Did its high school basketball. Brent Curtis on the call from Spalding High School as Randolph takes on the Crimson Tide. So again, we go up until 6:45. It's day 2 of our Radio Row at home coverage. I'm very, very excited to bring you today's show. Former NFL quarterback, number 2 pick in the 1998 NFL Draft, Ryan Leaf, is going to be with us in about 15 minutes, so we'll talk to him at 5:45. And then we're going to be joined at about 6:10 by former UVM hockey star and 14-year NHL veteran Aaron Miller, he's going to join us as well. I did speak with former UVM Hoops coach Tom Brennan, as is customary on a Tuesday. That interview is already up on our podcast channel on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, so you can go and find it there. We're going to react to a bunch of stuff that TB had to say, tomorrow and moving forward subsequently, as we're doing with all of our interviews this week. We're cutting them all up. We're going to use them in a big way coming up in the next couple of weeks. So you can always get in on the Napa-Morrisville, Napa-Waterbury text line. That's 802-585-3026. You can also get in on Facebook Live. If you want to watch the show, just go to WDEV's Facebook page, and you can watch us broadcast it live there every single day, and you can also get in on the conversation that way. Everybody, let go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
And the opening thoughts in the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center. Locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. Yesterday was Super Bowl Media Day. Now they call it Super Bowl Opening Night. So it used to be Super Bowl Media Day, where you'd show up and each team would get an hour, and you'd mill around, some big arena or stadium floor, and you'd find all the players and all the teams, and you'd talk to them. Now in COVID world, they're virtually done interviews, so the players were made available yesterday. And yesterday, at Super Bowl opening night, Rams receiver Odell Beckham Jr. proved what I was saying this season. Remember back in November when OBJ was released by the Browns, and we were all wondering where he was going to sign, right? Was it going to be with Green Bay? Was it going to be with the Rams? Was it going to be with Seattle? And a lot of people wondered if OBJ would come to the Patriots. He'd always had an affinity for the Patriots and for Tom Brady and for Bill Belichick. And I told you at that time I didn't want Odell Beckham Jr., and I told you that I didn't think he was going to ultimately sign in New England. And yesterday, OBJ was asked just how close he came to signing with the Pats.
Very, 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 very. I think I don't think I joked with him on the phone, but I was like, if this was 3 years ago, it would have been ideal, because Tom is one of the, he's one of my favorite.
Now, I am surprised. I have to admit, I'm surprised to hear OBJ say that he was, quote, very close. That one kind of perked my ears up a little bit, because I never really thought that it was likely. But the rest of that clip, the other 15 seconds of that clip, it proves exactly what I thought all along about the Odell Beckham situation. The Patriots, right now, as presently constructed, they're not the draw that people think that they are. Tom Brady was the draw. He was the reason that people wanted to come to New England. He was the reason that people took less, that veterans came here, that ring chasers came here. He was the reason. It's not the Patriots. It's not the Patriot way. It's not Bill Belichick. And Odell Beckham Jr. proved it to you right there. He says, if this was 3 years ago, then I would have come to the Patriots. Tom Brady was my guy. But now, I'm not interested. And look, when Odell Beckham Jr. was released, Patriots were in the midst of a winning streak. Patriots were climbing up the AFC standings. Patriots were seen as a real challenger at the time that OBJ was released. And he wasn't interested. The Patriots themselves, as I told you in November at the time, the Patriots are not a draw right now. Tom Brady was the draw. Now, I don't want to get it confused here. The Patriots are still going to get players. Players will still sign with the Patriots. If you have money to offer and playing time to offer, players will sign with your organization. We've seen that. We saw that last year. Matthew Judon came here. Hunter Henry came here. Jonnu Smith came here. Jalen Mills came here. Nelson Aguilar came here. Kendrick Bourne came here. Nick Folk came back. If you've got money and opportunity, you will get players in the NFL. That's just the way it works. But this idea that you're going to be able to get the ring chasers that you've always gotten, that you're going to be able to reach out to the veterans who are going to be able to, they're willing to take a little bit less to come play for the Patriots. That is not reality anymore. That's not reality for you anymore. That was reality with Tom Brady. That was reality, in to OBJ's words, 3 years ago. Not the case anymore. That proves everything. It's amazing as the season has ended how many things that this show has been right on. We're not right on everything. We got things wrong throughout the course of the year. But it's amazing how many things we have been proven right on, and this is one of them. I didn't think OBJ was going to come here. Why would OBJ want to come to New England? He wanted to play with Brady. It was never about playing for Belichick. It was never about wearing the Patriots uniform. It was about winning a title, and Brady was my means to do that. Brady is gone. Those guys are no longer interested. It's as simple as that. Guys are now flocking to Kansas City. Guys were flocking to Tampa to play with Brady. Guys are flocking to the Rams. Guys are flocking to where they think they can win championships, and that no longer is you. Chris Long a couple years ago took less. Veteran, wanted a title. He came. Martellus Bennett wanted a title. He came. That's not reality for the New England Patriots anymore. And this goes back to what I was saying yesterday. The Patriots are no longer they're no longer always in the conversation. Yesterday I played a cut for you where the national media is forgetting about them. There was a cut from Joe Burrow in which he doesn't mention them as a team to beat in the AFC, and now you have OBJ saying, I was close, but ultimately there was a better fit for me. Look, OBJ would have come here and been the number one wide receiver. Think about this. If Odell Beckham Jr. came to the Patriots, he would have been the number one wide receiver. He passed on that to go be the number 2 for the Los Angeles Rams. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about the Patriots, then I can't help you at that point. The Pats are good, but they're not upper echelon good, and they're not in the constant thought. They're not constantly in the thoughts of people around the league. They are now getting passed over in a way they've never been passed over before. Being passed over by players and being passed over by the media. So if you want the Patriots to get back to the Super Bowl next year, and I do, you have to start thinking about how are they going to do that. Well, they're going to have to draft really damn well, because the guys like OBJ, they're not taking less to come here. You have a finite amount of money, and when that money runs out, you're not getting people to do you a solid. Not anymore. They would do that solid for Tom Brady. You're going to have, now Miguel Benson, who does the Pats salary cap stuff, he was with us yesterday. He said he could get us to $40 million, get the Pats to $40 million. That's a good chunk of change. So you can pay some people to come to New England. But if you want to try to shoehorn this guy in at $2 million instead of $5 million and that guy in at $3 million instead of $7 million, that's not happening. You better draft really damn well. Because Odell Beckham Jr. is telling you, 3 years ago, I was in. Tom Brady's here, I was in. Now, I'm close, but I'm not going there. And that's going to be a theme. Unless you have the money to pay people what they are worth and then some, in some cases, you're not just getting guys at the rate that you used to. It's the Brady Farkas Show. This is the reality that we live in. For 20 years, people would take less. For 20 years, ring chasers would come here. We see this in the NBA all the time, right? We saw it. Karl Malone went and played for the Lakers. He was a ring chaser. Gary Payton went and played for the Heat. He was a ring chaser. David West, Andre Iguodala playing for the Iguodala, I think, was there first. David West going to the Warriors. He was a ring chaser. You see that in the NBA. Everybody wants to latch on with LeBron. Everybody wants to latch on with Giannis. That used to be what the Patriots would get. Not anymore. Look, last year, LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin latched on with the Brooklyn Nets. That used to be the Patriots. Not the case. OBJ showed you that. Listen to what he's saying. Listen to what the league is saying. Burrow doesn't fear you. The media doesn't think you're in the AFC elite conversation, and players are now passing over you. Listen to everybody. It shows you where the Patriots are at least in terms of their perception. The Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Joe gets in, Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. Go get Devontae Adams and draft well, and we will be fine. Can you get Devontae Adams? I mentioned Devontae Adams yesterday to Miguel. Laughed at me. Number one, Devontae Adams wants like record-shattering money. Even if the Patriots opened up every single dollar that Miguel thought was possible, $23 or $40 million, what are we going to do here? 15 of it's going to go to J.C. Jackson, and the other 20 is going to go to Devontae Adams, and you got 5 left for everybody else? I don't think that that's reality. Patriots' best bet is draft a wide receiver at pick number 21 and try to sign a guy like Allen Robinson. Maybe he's a guy who would take a little less because of the opportunity. As I said, if you have money and opportunity, you can get guys. So maybe opportunity can get Allen Robinson to New England. But this is not going to be easy. This is not going to be easy. I mean, the Pats can do some things. I don't think they can pay J.C. Jackson and Devontae Adams. Nor do I know that that would be the smartest thing you could possibly do. I think the Patriots should go out and draft a receiver at number 21, and let's start right there. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. One other thing that stood out to me yesterday from Super Bowl media opening night, I hadn't realized that Pats wide receiver Kendrick Bourne and Rams star Cooper Kupp, I hadn't realized that they were college teammates. And they weren't college teammates like at Ohio State. If they had been college teammates at Oklahoma or USC or Florida State, some football power, it wouldn't surprise me. They were college teammates at Eastern Washington. Eastern Washington is an FCS school, formerly known as 1AA. And it had Cooper Kupp and Kendrick Bourne. Think about that. A FCS team playing with 2 bona fide NFL wide receiver. Cooper Kupp is in the MVP of the league conversations. And Kendrick Bourne's a guy making $15 million. It's a pretty solid NFL resume in its own right. Both of those guys were on the same team. That was very interesting. I had not realized that. If I knew it, I had forgotten it. And Kupp was actually very complimentary of Bourne, said that he still talks to Bourne all the time to this day, said that he thought Bourne was actually better than him in college, and that Bourne could surpass what Kupp was. Now, it hasn't happened that way in the NFL. Kupp has continued to improve and be great, but I thought the praise for Bourne from Cooper Kupp was pretty telling and pretty cool. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Yeah, Super Bowl media night, certainly weird to see done via Zoom, because I went to Super Bowl media night 4 years, and the way it has worked in the past is they bring out one team onto the arena floor for an hour, and then they leave, and they bring on the next team for an hour, and you just try to find the players all around the floor. Some guys don't want to talk to the media, so they'll try to hide out, and you got to try to find them, and they'll all wear team-issued jumpsuits that show their numbers, and guys will put towels and credentials over their numbers so you can't quite tell who is who. So they'll try to play games to not get seen, but I remember talking with the first Super Bowl that I went to, Trevor Siemian, when he was, I think, a rookie for the Broncos. Graham Gano, I remember talking with that first year for Carolina. With the Patriots, Eric Rowe and Rex Burkhead and, Trey Flowers before he got the big deal from Detroit, Brandon Cooks. And that's just on the Patriots. I'm trying to think. Well, Cooks I spoke to when he was with the Rams, but a bunch of guys. Very, very Very cool. So, Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line 802-585-3026. Travis says it's not earth-shattering, but the Pats' track record of drafting a wide receiver isn't all that great. What's plan B? I don't have a plan B at the moment. I want the Patriots to draft a wide receiver. It's that simple. They need a downfield threat, and I don't think they can afford to go get Devontae Adams. You have to get a wide receiver, and you have to hit on him. Now, I see the projections. The projections all want the Patriots to draft linebackers. They need help on defense. They need speed at the linebacker position. They're too old and they're too slow. They might lose Jamie Collins and Dante Hightower, and they could cut Kyle Van Noy. So they could need an entire new linebacking core. They need linebackers. That's probably the actual answer is linebacker, if not receiver, but I want a receiver. I want a receiver. It's the Brady Farkas Show on DEV. Radio Row at home, day 2. Maybe the biggest bust in NFL draft history. And now he's brought himself all the way back. The great story of Ryan Leaf. He's going to be with us next, right here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV.
Jameson Insurance is an independent agency serving the WDEV listening area that offers local service from local insurance professionals with national depth and resources. Whether it's home, auto, or business insurance, Jameson's seeks solutions to coverage and pricing questions for you from dozens of coverage sources. When you get a proposal from Jameson, you know that they've done their homework, and you have peace of mind. Reach out to them at JamesonINS.com.
As Vermonters, we know that so much depends on the weather. When you need a reliable local weather forecast, it's literally at your fingertips with the WDEV weather phone. Locally dial 244-1172 or toll free at 1-800-585-1211. Roger Hill's weather forecast is just a phone call away on the WDEV weather phone, 244-1172 or 1-800-585-1211.
WDEV also serves the Northeast Kingdom at 101.9 W270BR Island Pond.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Welcome back to Radio Row at Home on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Continuing our countdown towards Bengals and Rams in the Super Bowl, and it is our Radio Row at Home week as we continue on. And now I want to welcome in our next guest, a guy I'm very excited to talk to again. It's Ryan Leaf. He's an NFL and college football analyst at the Believe Podcast Network. He's the host of the Bust Podcast. He's a motivational speaker, and, oh yeah, the former number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft. Ryan, how are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. Happy Super Bowl week.
Happy Super Bowl week to you as well. You know, we've spoken multiple times before, so I wanted to attack this interview maybe in a different way than I have before with you. And your story and your overcoming of obstacles is really well told. And I purposely put your NFL career at the end of that introduction. And the reason why I did that is because you've done so much in the last several years that, to me, you're way beyond having just been a former NFL quarterback. At what point were you able to see yourself as more than an NFL quarterback? Was it quick or was it a long process?
Oh, it was a terribly long process, you know, enough that it took me down such a rabbit hole that it almost ended my life, right? Just the resentment around the failure feeling of it all of that encapsulated in what I thought was the end-all, be-all of my identity. And so it took a long time. Very, very okay with who I see in the mirror now, and that's what's made the real difference in my life.
How does the NFL help young players transition into the league now, and how maybe has that changed in the 25 years since you came into the league?
Well, I think there's some better training around the finance aspect of things, but I don't really think the NFL does too much. It's our responsibility as peers and teammates and in the NFL brotherhood to be there for one another, ultimately, because the NFL is not going to do anything. You are a commodity to them, and And if they can, recycle you every 3 years with the new and updated version, they're more than happy to do that.
Up here we cover the Patriots, and so we just went through a whole season with a young quarterback in Mac Jones. How much pressure is on these young quarterbacks, and then how quickly can it all become overwhelming?
Well, I mean, I don't know if there was more pressure than New England ever to follow in the footsteps of the greatest of all time, right? How do you come in and do that? So that had to have been incredibly difficult for Mac Jones, but I thought he weathered the storm better than most, right? I thought he ultimately had the best rookie season of anybody at the quarterback position. I think it was fundamentally positive that he ended up in New England rather than somewhere else because of the stability there with Bill Belichick and his staff. It'll be really interesting next year without Josh McDaniels at the helm, what that offense is going to look like and how Mac Jones adjusts in his second year after a Pro Bowl season in his first.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about Josh McDaniels leaving, and obviously you went through some instability in your career of a different variety, but how important is that loss for Mac Jones to have a different voice and someone you had gotten comfortable with that's no longer there?
No, it's got to be incredibly difficult, right? I had 3 head coaches in my first 2 years. How is that possible?
Yeah.
Well, my head coach got fired midway through the first season, right? I mean, it's something about consistency in that league, right? Continuity, the constant of knowing what's going on, because the less you have to think out on the football field, the better. Allow your talent, your muscle memory to take over. That's what makes the difference.
Ryan Leaf with us here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Former number 2 pick in the NFL draft, and now does some NFL and college football analyst work for the Believe Podcast Network. We talk about all the pressures on a young quarterback. What was the thing you were most not ready for when it came to entering the league? Was it the money aspect, as you referenced? Was it understanding the playbook? Was it relating to older teammates? What was the thing that stood out most difficult to you?
Dealing with failure. I thought it was a black and white issue. You were either successful or you were a failure. I didn't understand that failing at something was just an opportunity to do it better the next time. And so that's where I struggled. And when you go to a team that's drafting at the very top of the first round of the NFL draft, you're going to go to a team that's going to deal with some failure. And so you have to be able and capable of doing that. I don't know, Peyton Manning in his rookie year led the league in interceptions. That team went 3-13. That type of thing would have been incredibly difficult for me to overcome, right? Just the idea of what that meant, of failing. You simply have to deal with it in a positive and healthy way, and that's extremely difficult and something that I was very, very unfamiliar with.
When it came to Mac Jones, he started this year right from day one, and that is generally more accepted in today's NFL. But when you were coming out, you started day one also, and we weren't used to that. We were used to young quarterbacks sitting behind guys. Do you wish that you had a veteran quarterback to sit behind for a year or two, or did you, at the time, like the idea of playing right away?
Well, at the time, I'm a competitor. I wanted to play. No one was going to start over me. I was the second overall pick. You could have said I was the 1A, 1B pick in that scenario. So I was going to play. Whoever you brought in to compete, I was going to win that competition. What would have been helpful for me, and looking at it, at the age of 45, it would have been great if they would have brought Warren Moon in, who played for Kevin Gilbride in the Houston Oilers. Let him be the veteran quarterback and brought me along and taught me the ropes and how to do it. That would have been perfect. But, when you're in it, you don't want anybody to take anything away from you. Your opportunities, your success, all of that.
We just spent 20 years watching Tom Brady play. You and Brady are close to the same age. I believe the Washington State-Michigan Rose Bowl that you played in, Brady was on that Michigan team, although Brian Griese was the guy who was playing. And in some ways, Brady's pro career is the exact opposite of yours. As Brady retires, what emotions or words come to mind to you about him?
Just the best professional athlete I think I've ever witnessed. The way the guy has worked, right? Every offseason, regardless of winning the championship 7 times, he's taken a critical look at what he needs to do to get better, and he's gone to work. And I would argue that this last season, what you saw from him at 44 years old, was the best version of Tom Brady at the quarterback position that we've seen during his entire career. And that's the difference between him and everywhere else. He is incredibly self-critical, because he could have packed it in at any point and said, hey, I've just won 7 championships. I'm the best quarterback on the planet. let's go on vacation a little bit more with the family and not focus and work on what I need to work on. He did not rest at all. He worked his tail off, and that's the difference in why he's the best quarterback and professional athletes who have ever played.
You know, you've gotten very prominent in media over the last couple of years. You've got a new podcast out recently called Bust that chronicles your career and your downfall and your kind of rebirth. Why have you been so open about your career rather than just wanting to move on? Because I would imagine it would be hard to keep talking about, but yet you keep doing it and doing it gracefully.
The only way I get to keep this success, this freedom, this peace is to give it away. And I didn't quite understand what that meant. My mentors told me about it. It's your ability to share your story, your experiences, strength, and hope. And that allows you to keep this peaceful, unchaotic life. It's a way of being of service to others. It doesn't cost me anything to tell my story. It costs me nothing, and it gives me everything. So I think that's the best answer I can give you on why I do what I do now.
Well, Ryan, I'll get you out of here on this. You are there in L.A. right now at the action, getting ready for the Super Bowl. When you think of Joe Burrow specifically, a guy number one pick in the draft, he's the story around this Super Bowl. What are your impressions of Burrow and everything he's accomplished here in year two?
It's just been so impressive. For somebody who was in the exact same position he was 2 years ago and wasn't successful at it, to watch him be successful in such a short amount of time clearly shows what kind of character and an ability that the young man has. And it's been fun to watch. It's been fun to experience as an analyst covering him. And I expect big things from him in the future. It's a very talented AFC in terms of the elite quarterback play. And so I expect to see a lot of great matchups over the next few years. The AFC is in comfortable hands as well as the NFL at the quarterback position.
Well, Ryan Leaf, former NFL quarterback, motivational speaker. You can check him out on the Believe Podcast Network. And Ryan, hopefully I'm seeing you in person next year because hopefully the Patriots will have cracked that AFC and maybe they can get back next season as well. But until then, we will talk to you again down the road, Ryan. Thanks so much for the time.
You bet. You have a wonderful week. Enjoy the Super Bowl.
I will do just that. Ryan Leaf, former NFL quarterback, 1998 NFL Draft, number 2 overall pick. He's been called the biggest bust in NFL history. Jamarcus Russell was pretty bad. I'm not really into ranking people's failures like that. But every time I talk to Ryan Leaf, and that's probably the 3rd or 4th time that I've done it, every time I speak with him, I walk away with something new or something different. There was the actual football stuff on Mac Jones and losing Josh McDaniels, on the instability for a young quarterback. There was the stuff about how much pressure is on young quarterbacks. And then I thought it was really interesting when he said the NFL doesn't do a good job at preparing players to come into the league, his own battle of not being able to handle and overcome failure. I thought all of it was fascinating. So as we will continue to do, our crew will cut up that interview and we'll probably use it in some form next week when the games are over with. But thank you to Ryan Leaf there. The full interview will soon be available on the Brady Farkas Show podcast channel. What we will do is we will step aside, get the national news update from CBS News, and then we'll come back. My ode to Ryan Cochran Siegel and Tom Brady. Is his retirement set to not last very long? Talk about all of that. That's coming up next right here on the Brady Farkas Show on DEV.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren, 96.5 W243 AT Berry, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Matt Piper in New York. Even as some states do away with mask mandates, the CDC is still standing by its COVID-19 mask guidance for school-aged children.
States including California, Delaware, and Oregon say they'll be lifting indoor mask mandates for schools and other public places as infections drop. But CDC Director Rochelle Walensky says the agency continues to endorse universal masking in schools.
Current moment, I'm pleased to say that about 96% of our children are in schools, and that the masking has allowed them to be in school safely.
Walensky says she is cautiously optimistic that coronavirus cases in the nation will fall below crisis levels at some point. Allison Keyes, CBS News, Washington.
Police are investigating a bomb threat that prompted a security scare for the vice president's husband, second gentleman Doug Emhoff.
It happened at Dunbar High School, where Doug Emhoff was participating in a Black History Month event. Metropolitan Police Executive Assistant Chief Sean Benedict says the school's front desk received the threat.
Giving the people people in that location 10 minutes to leave.
That's when Secret Service whisked Emhoff away and students were evacuated.
Now I can tell you that the school is rendered it's safe to go inside. You saw some students go back inside just recently, so there is no ongoing threat to the Dunbar facility.
Steve Dorsey, CBS News, Washington.
Back and forth over what Russia says it'll do when it comes to tensions with its neighboring Ukraine.
On Imtiaz Taib in the Ukrainian capital Kyiv, French President Emmanuel Macron visited his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky for talks on the country's crisis with Russia after saying he received assurances from President Vladimir Putin that Mr. Putin would de-escalate the tense standoff on Ukraine's border. But the Kremlin is pouring cold water on those reports, saying that it was not considering pulling its troops.
An Australian company that makes charging stations for electric vehicles is opening up its first American facility in Tennessee. President Biden says the goal is to make electric vehicle charging stations accessible nationwide.
America is building convenient, reliable, equitable, national public charging networks. So wherever you live, charging an electric vehicle will be quick and easy. And the foundation will help American automakers set the pace for electric vehicles.
He moonlights as DJ Diesel. He's actually Shaquille O'Neal, and he's hosting a carnival-themed event, Shaq's Funhouse, Friday night in L.A. ahead of Sunday's Super Bowl. With performances by Zedd, Lil Wayne, and Diplo, back to the city where he helped the Lakers win 3 straight championships. The Dow gained 372. This is CBS News.
There's always something new under the sun. CBS Mornings, weekdays on CBS.
Rob tried to manage his constipation with belly pain, discomfort, and bloating day after day. After realizing it was irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, he found another way and finally said yes to adding Linzess.
Linzess, or linaclotide, is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. Linzess works differently than laxatives. It lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2 years old. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. There could be more to your story with IBS-C. Talk to a doctor today. Say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS. Sponsored by AbbVie and Ironwood Pharmaceuticals.
A horse that had a memorable TV role has died at 23.
The horse was named Goldie, but on TV, on The Sopranos, it was Pyomai.
Our girl. Our girl. She had a hot tendon. You should see the veterinarian bill.
A source of friction between Ralph and Tony, the horse's death in a season 4 barn fire led to, let's just say, a violent altercation. The horse died over the weekend at a farm in Warwick, New York. It contracted a pituitary gland disease a few years ago. A Twitter account asks for donations to local animal shelters in her honor. Steve Kathan, CBS News.
A French journalist says his exclusive interview with Chinese tennis star Peng Shuai this week did not prove that she's okay. It was a restrictive interview arranged by Chinese Olympic officials for a French sports daily. The sit-down in Beijing was the first time Peng has spoken with Western media about allegations she made of forced sex with a former top-ranked Communist Party official. Matt Piper, CBS News.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
Welcome back to Radio Row at Home on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in. Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. We go up until 6:45 tonight. It's high school basketball at that point. Randolph and Spalding on the boys' side. Brent Curtis will be on the call. I want to thank Ryan Leaf for joining us. Aaron Miller is going to be with us in about 10 minutes or so. He is the former UVM men's hockey star and 14-year NHL veteran. Also played for Team USA at the 02 Olympics. So he's going to be with us here in about 10 minutes from now. Speaking of the Olympics, I want to start the 6 o'clock hour with a nod to Ryan Cochran Siegel, the Starksboro native, won a silver medal last night at the Olympics in the men's giant slalom. He was just 0.04 seconds off the gold. And this is such a cool story on so many levels. And look, I don't know a lot about skiing. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I've been skiing once in my life. I watch it at the Olympics. I don't watch it any other time. So I can't tell you technically what he did or didn't do to get to the point where he won and where he didn't, do enough to win the gold. I'm not going to BS you about that. I think it's fair to be and best to be transparent with the audience. I know what I know and I know what I don't know. And technical skiing is not something that I know a lot about right now. But this is a very cool story, and it's a cool story on so many levels. You don't have to be into skiing or understand skiing to recognize why this is such a cool story. It's a cool story first and foremost for Vermont, for Vermonters, and for Vermont sports. I love seeing Vermonters succeed on the national and international stage, and this is right in line with that. I've told you all along that everybody thinks that, Vermont is this little tiny state, and fine, sure. My goal with this show has always been to make Vermont and this market feel way bigger than it is. That's why we are trying to do the things that we're trying to do. Be on Facebook Live, get these guests on the show, have a radio row at home. We're trying to do all of that because we want the show to be bigger than you would expect. Well, these athletes are taking the state profile to a level that's bigger than you would expect. And I love that. And we've seen a lot of this over the last couple of years. It's why I'm so into Amanda Pelkey winning gold at the 2018 Olympics in women's ice hockey. Amanda, she was on this show 2 weeks ago. I think it's awesome to talk with her because she elevated the state in helping Team USA win a gold medal. And I love that about her story. Ellie Perrier St. Pierre getting to the Olympics in Tokyo, being in a position to get to a medal. She got to the medal round. She didn't win. And you know what? It doesn't really matter to me. She was there, and she elevated the state in the process. And I think that is incredibly cool. Owen Kellington getting drafted in the 4th round, I believe, by the Pittsburgh Pirates. 3rd round, actually, I think, by the Pittsburgh Pirates in the Major League Draft. I'm all in on all of these stories because it's just a great sense of pride. And I wasn't even born here and didn't grow up here. I've lived here for 5 years, and I feel the pride. I can only imagine how all of you feel that know Ryan Cochran Siegel's family and have skied at the Cochran Ski Resort and have talked with his mother. I can only imagine how you all feel today. It's a really cool story on the Vermont front. But it's also a great story on other fronts as well. It's a great story about legacy. You know it better than I do, but his mother won gold in 1972, and here we are 50 years later, and he medals as well. That's incredible. You see it all the time in families where it's really hard to live up to a family legacy. It is. It's really challenging to live up to what your parents did. It's really hard to live up to what your older sibling did. And even though I watched a special on NBC5 the other day, it seems like Barbara Cochran is a great woman and a great mother who never pushed Ryan into competitive ski racing and never, pushed him into something he didn't want to do. But it's not easy, I'm sure, to live in the shadow of an Olympic gold medalist. That couldn't possibly be easy. So to reach your ceiling and to capitalize on your potential and to live up to your family name, that's a huge accomplishment. I imagine in some ways it's a relief, and it's a great story because there's so many people that are broken by trying to live up to what their family members have done. And Ryan Cochran Siegel, he wasn't. And if it was ever a thing for him, he eradicated that last night. And then finally, it's just a great story of perseverance. We love the story in sports. It's one of the reasons we love sports, because sports shows us the things that we're not expecting to happen or we don't think that can happen, they actually are possible. 1 year ago today, Ryan Cochran Siegel was, coming out of the hospital with broken bones. I mean, he had broken his neck a year ago, and here he is medaling in the Olympics. on a course that he's never run before because they've never had a World Cup event on this course in China. The ability to simply recover physically is inspiring. The courage it takes to do the sport in the first place is inspiring. But then how you come back after a devastating injury is also inspiring. I mean, I've heard this story multiple times of Major League Baseball players that get hit in the head by a pitch or pitchers that get hit by a line drive. It is hard mentally to get back up there and do it again, to put yourself in harm's way again. And Ryan Cochran Siegel was able to overcome that mentally. And I think that that is inspiring, because it'd be very easy to, once something has caused you trauma once, to not feel comfortable doing it again. And Ryan Cochran Siegel not only felt comfortable doing it again, but he felt comfortable doing it on the highest level, in a foreign land, on the biggest stage, and he found a way to come in second. 0.04 seconds off the gold. It's an incredible story, and it's a story that, again, you don't have to know a lot about skiing to appreciate it. I don't know a lot about skiing, and I certainly appreciate it. It is mentally, to do what he has done, it's a real grind, and it's a real testament to his mental toughness and his character. And I got to say, I have a lot of respect for that. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. We are on Facebook Live. You can always watch us there and comment. You can also get in on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. That's 802-585-3026. I want to get to the Tom Brady retirement stuff, but we've got Aaron Miller waiting. So we'll get to TB12 at some point before high school basketball. I'm looking at the producers, letting them know, okay, we'll get to him after this. We got Aaron on right now? All right. I want to go out to the phone line. It is Radio Row at Home, day number 2. I am very, very excited about this. The guest list continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and I've just emptied out the Rolodex, and here we go. Aaron Miller is on with us now. He's a UVM men's hockey product, 14 years in the NHL, a 2002 Olympian himself for Team USA. Aaron is on the phone with us now. Aaron, thanks for being with us. Radio Row at Home, day 2. How are you?
Good, Brady. How you doing?
Good. Appreciate you being with us. You know, before we really get into the nuts and bolts of everything, we were just talking about Tom Brady, and he said never say never on coming out of retirement. He retired last week. He's already said never say never on coming back out. You had a long career. When you retired, did you know you were done, or did you have a hard time kind of transitioning back into civilian life?
Yeah, it was a struggle, but my body had fallen apart by that point. You know, Tom Brady's still in pretty good shape, so it's tough to walk away when you can still do what you love at a high level. That wasn't the case for me. Basically, nobody wanted me, and my body was falling apart. So yeah, it was time to quit. But different story with Brady.
Did you get to a point ever where the family became a big part of the decision-making process? Because it seems like Brady wants to play. His wife has wanted him to retire for years. His kids are getting older. They have their own lives now. Did that ever become a consideration that you thought about?
Yeah, absolutely. I had 3 young kids at the time, and when you get towards the end of your career, no one's signing you long-term. So you're just basically 1-year deals, and you're moving from city to city, and that starts to get tough on the family. So that was nothing I wanted any part of. But again, Brady can pretty much, decide wherever he wants to play. So it's a different story. It would not surprise me at all if he comes back to football.
Well, we will certainly be following that, but again, never say never. He seems like a guy who is going to have a very hard time not seeing himself as an athlete anymore. He has other business ventures, he's got a great family life, but he seems very, very tied to the identity of being an athlete. Did that happen for you right away, where you were able to transition into other things, or did it also take you some time?
No, I'm a much different story than Tom Brady. No, it took me a little bit of time. I thought what I was going to do when I retired is just nothing. I thought I was going to fish and golf and hang out. But when you're 35 years old, it just doesn't work that way. So I did that for a few months, and then I found something to do with these restaurants that I'm doing now. And thank God I did, because you got to stay busy, and you got to. the competitive juices never go away. So you got to do something that you can compete at. And business is just like a sport, to be honest with you. You try and do your best and compete every day.
Yeah, well, you've got a couple Buffalo Wild Wings franchises, including the one on Shelburne Road in South Burlington. I was actually there a couple weeks ago. It was great. Why did you choose the restaurant field as opposed to anything else?
It's just kind of worked out that way. I had a good buddy who was in the restaurant business, and I kind of just fell into it. You know, the things people told me is don't do restaurants and don't go into business with your friends, and I did both, and it's worked out. So you never know what you'll end up doing in life, but you find something you love and you do your best, and I'm lucky to have found that.
We're talking with Aaron Miller, former UVM hockey star, 14-year NHL veteran, played with Quebec, Colorado, the Kings, the Canucks, again, a 2002 Olympian. Super Bowl is in L.A., and I'm bringing kind of L.A. to us here for this week. The Stars are certainly out in L.A., and you played in L.A. for a bit. Was there anybody from another sport that you ever wanted to meet during your career or had you a little starstruck that you came across?
There's usually actors and actresses that I was starstruck. When we practiced, our practice facility was the same as the Lakers. So when Shaq and Kobe were there, so there were some pretty big names. But yeah, that's the way it is out in LA. And the bigger the event, all the stars start to come out. I mean, when I was with the Kings and when we had those rare years when we actually made the playoffs, all of a sudden you'd start to see, you know, right along the glass, all the actors and actresses, they all want to be seen on television. So it's fantasy land out there, but it's a great place to have a Super Bowl.
2002 Winter Olympian in Salt Lake, got to be a part of the Olympics on home soil. You've told me on a couple different occasions that's one of the coolest things you've done in your career. What made the whole thing so memorable to you?
Oh, probably having my family around. It was great. It was in the States. It was real easy to rent a house and then, you know, just get your way around to all the different events. And my entire family was there, and we had success. You know, we won a silver. It was just a really special thing, you know, ever since a kid, and watching the 1980 team win the gold. It was a dream of mine. But when you turn pro and it was all amateurs at the point, you never thought there'd be a chance. And then there was. So I was extremely privileged to play in that, and it was just a great experience. It's hard to believe it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, unbelievable. You know, Winter Olympics going on right now in Beijing. The women's hockey tournament is going on as we speak. Men's hockey is going to get going here in a couple of days. No NHL guys this year because of COVID. Are you, from a fan's perspective, are you more or less interested in Olympic hockey without the NHL guys?
I'll watch either way. You know, what I really hope they do, if they're going to get away from the pro players, is that they do something where they have a team play together, you know, for like a year, like a 60-game schedule, go play colleges. I know that couldn't happen this time with the late decision from the NHL, but it's either got to be the NHL or, you know, let a bunch of kids travel together, come together as a team, and that'll make it even more special. I don't think people are going to really care all that much. They're going to cheer for their country, and somebody's going to come out of this, you know, being a hero, someone who no one's ever heard of before. And I think that's what the Olympics is all about.
You know, did you get a chance in 2002 to go to watch a lot of other sporting events? Did you take in all of the Olympic experience, or did you just, we're done playing, I went home, or what was it like for you from that perspective?
Yeah, it was strange. You know, we weren't there for the opening ceremonies. We were still playing in the NHL, so it was kind of get there and just start playing right away. And I was just so focused on hockey that I was either playing or I was just resting. So I really didn't see any other events. I wasn't there for the closing ceremonies. So, I mean, as far as the whole Olympic experience goes, you know, it wasn't the greatest, just because it's so crammed in the NHL schedule, which is just another reason why I'm a big proponent for a team being together and being able to take in that whole experience.
Aaron Miller with us here on the Brady Farkas Show, Radio Row at Home on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. You know, we've talked a lot about this over the last couple of weeks. We're in the midst right now of a lockout in baseball, and we're not going to get to spring training on time. We very well might not start the regular season on time. You were in the NHL at the time with the 2004-2005 lockout that cost the league an entire season. How much did you pay attention to labor relations and all that stuff at that point in your career? Did it ever matter to you?
Well, I tried to keep up on it. It's a tough deal when you're part of a union. You kind of toe the line, regardless of how you may feel. I mean, I lost not only a full season of pay, but I had 3 years left in my contract, and that was docked 25%. They cut that off too, so I lost a lot of money in that lockout that I'll never get back. And in the end, we just kind of took what we were fighting for. We just took it in the end anyway. So it's tough for these athletes. They just want to play, but you get these unions involved, and you get these owners. It's a tough deal, and I feel for them, and I wish I never had to go through that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a question along those lines. Like, my biggest fear in this whole thing is that the players right now are unified, but as the closer and closer we get to the season supposed to be starting, these guys that aren't getting paid, eventually there's going to be some fracturing among the players' union, and they might just be forced into a deal just because they kind of have to. Like, that seems like a real concern, and it seems a little bit like maybe what some of your guys were feeling. Yeah,
it's a lot easier for guys, big name guys with a lot of money in the bank to sit out for a little bit. But some of these guys, it may seem like they make a lot of money, but at the end of the day, it's a very finite amount of time, and they want to play. So that's a tough part of it. But you don't want to fracture. You want to keep your union strong and everyone trying to side together. But the longer it goes, the harder that is to do.
The one thing I wonder about, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, but the one thing the baseball players have now that you guys didn't is so many more ways to get their message out, and so many more ways to get sympathy from the fans or get the fans to take their side. Podcasting, start your own podcast, social media. Like, how much do you think that kind of stuff can help the players in this kind of battle?
Well, it can help and it can hurt too if there's a lot of different messages getting out there. Social media, I'm glad it wasn't around when I was playing. I don't need everyone having a phone in their pocket and being able to say whatever. It just complicates things, to be honest with you. And I hope that those players can stay unified, because that's where you have all the power.
Aaron, how much of the NHL are you watching these days?
Here and there. I'm trying to follow my Sabres here. It's been a tough season for them. It's actually been a tough decade and a half for them. But I just started watching more, getting back into hockey. I think the game is great. I think they've made some tremendous changes. It's faster than it's ever been. It's more skilled. I mean, when you're watching this Trevor Zegras, not so much of the game is played with the puck in the air now, and I think that's only going to change more and more. It's great for the fans. Some old school people don't like it, but I think it's awesome. I think the skill is greater than it's ever been.
You mentioned just getting back into it. Why did you go away from it?
I don't know. I just kind of got burnt out. I just stopped watching it. I got more into. I love golf. It's something that I can get better at every day. Hockey, it's just a shell of what I used to be. It's kind of depressing to think about it, but I don't know. I got out of it a little bit. I coach. I love coaching at the high school level, but I just really started getting into watching the game at the pro level this season. Maybe I was too cheap to get the package, but I spent a little money, and I'm watching more and more hockey, and it's really entertaining. And once the playoff starts, I honestly believe there's nothing better than playoff hockey.
Well, I'll get you out of here on this. You mentioned kind of being burnt out on it. I think anybody can get burnt out on their business at some point. At what point in your career did you realize it was a business and it wasn't just a game that you grew up playing?
Yeah, I learned some tough lessons on that. I had to go to arbitration twice.
Oh.
And, I really recommend that every pro athlete at some point go to arbitration and sit there and listen to the organization that you think, they love you. Believe me, they'll trade you. They'll do anything for a better deal. And to sit at a table and hear your organization just talk about what you're bad at and why they shouldn't pay you, it's quite an experience, and it'll show you that it's just a business at the end of the day. And for the very few, for the Tom Brady's out there, and for these guys that are superstars, it's more than that. But for the average player, you're just playing, and literally you got to go and make as much as you can. You got to run your own little business. So learned some tough lessons, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. I had a blast.
Well, fascinating perspective, fascinating insight, and Aaron Miller with us here on the Brady Farkas Show. Our Radio Row at Home special, continuing our countdown to the Super Bowl between the Rams and the Bengals. You got a prediction on the game?
I don't care. My Bills got knocked out, so I don't care at this point. I guess Joe Burrow's a good story, so I just would like to see a good game.
Well, give us the plug for Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm sure it's going to be a big to-do for you guys on Sunday.
It will be. Buffalo Wild Wings for Super Bowl. You know, we do huge takeouts, so if you're thinking of having a party, just make sure you call in the day before, get your order in there, and come pick it up, because it's more of an off-site party-at-home thing, but we've got all the wings you need.
Well, there you go, and I can attest to it. Always delicious. So, Aaron, we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.
Thanks, Brady.
Absolutely. Radio Row at Home, Day 2. Aaron Miller, former UVM Catamount hockey star and 14-year NHL veteran. That was awesome perspective on a few different fronts. I took so much from that. The lockout stuff was pretty revealing to me. That is my fear with baseball. That the Baseball Players Association, I think they are battling for some pretty reasonable things. The owners have the ability, though, to just wait them out. And eventually, this unified front, it cracks. Now, the NHL guys, they waited the whole season. They stood up for what they wanted. And Aaron says we ended up taking a deal anyways. And he said it was really hard. Guys lost a lot of money. He lost a lot of money. Younger players, these guys don't get paid during the season, and they don't get paid unless it's the season, and they don't get paid, if you're not playing, if the league's not in session. So at some point, the baseball guys are going to crack. And he's telling you that's what I lost a season in the middle of my career. I lost a bunch of money because I wish I didn't have to go through it because I wanted to play. I had to do what the union wanted, but I wanted to play. That was fascinating insight. The Olympic stuff was fascinating as well. So Aaron Miller is awesome. And yeah, Buffalo Wild Wings, Shelburne Road in South Burlington. Aaron is one of the owners there. So really good stuff. Really good stuff. We will, that interview we'll get up on the podcast channel ASAP. We'll get the cuts from that, and we'll have a bunch of stuff to react to over the course of probably starting next week. This week we do the interviews. Monday we come in, we talk about the game for the most part, and then we go into kind of a lull. We won't have baseball. We won't have football games to discuss and a lot of football content to discuss. We'll have the NBA. We'll start getting next week into a lot of Celtics and a lot of Bruins on the NHL side, and we'll be reacting to a lot of the things that we heard this week during Radio Row at Home. Pretty good stuff there from Aaron Miller. Enjoyed talking with him. The show is brought to you in part by Pro Driver Training. That's Pro Driver Training, Vermont's premier truck driver training school. Online at ProDriverCDL.com. That's online at ProDriverCDL.com. Frank on Facebook Live says we need to have Brady get Wild Wings to name a sandwich after him. Or no, to get wings named after him, not just a sandwich. I got the sandwich at the Village Grocery. He wants wings named after me too. I don't know what flavor of wings I would be, but always appreciate talking with Aaron Miller. He is awesome. And again, Pro Driver Training, Vermont's premier truck driver training school, online at ProDriverCDL.com. When we come back, I posed questions to Aaron about Tom Brady. Tom Brady's retirement. It's been a week, and he doesn't sound like he's fully committed to it. What's the latest, and do I want to see Tom Brady come back? I'll give you my spin on that. That's next on DEV.
Rob tried to manage his constipation with belly pain, discomfort, and bloating day after day. After realizing it was irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C, he found another way and finally said yes to adding Linzess.
Linzess, or linaclotide, is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. Linzess works differently than laxatives. It lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2 years old. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. There could be more to your story with IBS-C. Talk to a doctor today. Say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS. Sponsored by AbbVie and Ironwood Pharmaceuticals.
The world is a constantly changing place, and being informed has never been more important. This is Steve Kafin. WDEV, Vermont's news station, and CBS provide you with up-to-the-minute news and information. Whether it's top and bottom of the hour news, breaking news, or special events, if Vermonters need to know, you can trust that WDEV and CBS will inform you. WDEV, keeping an eye on Vermont, while CBS keeps an eye on the world.
WDEV at 90 is brought to you in part by New England Municipal Resource Center, Nemrick, supporting strong communities by helping local government since 1986.
With inventory issues still affecting dealers across our industry, at Lamoille Valley Ford, we have found the solution for getting you into a new vehicle. Tell them, kid.
Thanks, Dan. At Lamoille Valley Ford, we're ready for retail. That's right, we are ready to retail order your new Ford today at Lamoille Valley Ford. With our high-volume sales history, there's no better dealership to custom order your new Ford car, truck, or SUV. We're prioritizing your personalized vehicle and doing whatever we can to expedite delivery, so you don't have to wait any longer than you have to. And get this, when you retail order from Lamoille Valley Ford, we will discount your order an additional $1,000. Combine that with huge Ford discounts and incentives, you can take up to $6,000 off a retail ordered F-150. That's huge. Need a vehicle today? No worries. At Lamoille Valley Ford, we have by far Vermont's largest selection of new Fords, including over 150 F-Series trucks in stock and incoming.
Woo! So drive Route 14, 15, or 16 to Lamoille Valley Ford in Hardwick and save big during our Ready for Retail sales event.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Welcome back to Radio Row at Home on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in. Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. High school basketball coming up about 15 minutes from now. Boys Hoops, Randolph at Spalding. Brent Curtis will be on the call. I want to get to this Tom Brady stuff because yesterday on the Let's Go podcast with Brady and Jim Gray and Larry Fitzgerald, Brady was asked basically if he's retired for good. And he said, never say never. Never say never. He didn't say, I'm done for good, I'm fully at peace with this decision. I hope that this is just Tom Brady in the immediate wake of his retirement. I hope this is him just struggling to come to terms, because I don't want to see Tom Brady come back. I don't want to see him come back like mid-season. If he's gonna keep playing, he's best served to just play right from the start. I don't want to see Brady come back mid-season. Now, he'll get calls, he'll get courted, but it doesn't change my thought. I don't want to see Brady come back in a mid-season scenario, but he's going to get calls every year. Somebody gets hurt, somebody needs a quarterback. I mean, look at it this year. Panthers lost Sam Darnold. Colts had issues with Carson Wentz. Seattle lost Russell Wilson for a period. Kyler Murray was out for a portion of the year. Baker Mayfield played but torn to shreds. Joe Burrow got hurt the year before. Dak Prescott got hurt. Guys, there will be quarterbacks that get hurt, and Tom Brady will be their first call at some point over the course of the season. I don't want him to answer that call. I just don't. If he wants to play, he's got to just play. Coming back mid-season, signing in late August to deal with a training camp injury, signing before week 4 or week 9. I'm not interested in seeing Brady do that. There's a couple of different reasons why. I believe very, very strongly in the romantic nature of sports. I like when we end with moments frozen in time. Derek Jeter hitting a walk-off single in his final at-bat at Yankee Stadium. That will stick with me forever. John Elway helicoptering through the air and winning a Super Bowl and then going out. That will stick with me forever. I love those moments. And while Brady didn't win the Super Bowl in his final season, I want my last visions of Tom Brady, the player, to be him going out at close to the top of his game. I don't want to see him come back at age 45 and struggle. And I don't want to see him come back and play poorly. It wouldn't ruin my perception of him, but it would ruin that moment. It would ruin that great image I have of Brady at the end. And I don't want that. And I think that that's a real concern. I don't know if Tom Brady were to come back in the middle of a season, if Tom Brady would be great. I don't know if under that scenario, Tom Brady would be excellent. And there's a couple of reasons why. If he's not capable of being the Tom Brady of old, then I don't want to see Tom Brady play at all. Like, do you want to see Tom Brady come back mid-season like Cam Newton did and look like Cam Newton did for the Panthers? No, I get it. Brady's better than Cam, but do you want to see Brady sign with somebody and come back and play behind that offensive line that Cam had to play behind? I don't. Do you want to see a 45-year-old Tom Brady go play for the Seahawks and get behind the line that Russell Wilson complained about? I don't. Do you want to see Tom Brady come back, when Joe Burrow gets injured 2 years ago and go play behind that Cincinnati line that was even worse 2 years ago than it was this past year? I don't. I don't know that if Tom Brady at this point in his career needs to go to a situation where everything around him is great, and that's just not reality for most teams in the NFL. So I don't want to see Brady come out of retirement to play for somebody that I don't know if they can protect him. And two, Tom Brady's whole career has been made because of his discipline and his preparation. And he also puts a huge premium on team building. If he walks into a building on Monday of week 8 without all the preparation, without the team building that he usually does, without the understanding of his teammates, I mean, how good could he really be? Tom Brady is great, not because he's a great athlete. He's great because of his mind, because of his understanding, because of his work ethic, and because of his commitment. And if he has taken, 6 months off, not fully training and not working with his teammates, I don't know that Tom Brady would be great in a situation like that. And more importantly, I don't know that he'd want to come back into a situation like that. I don't want to see Tom Brady do this. I hope that right now, Tom Brady is just struggling to come to terms with everything. And I get it. It would be very hard to realize that you are not what you used to be, or that you can no longer do the thing that has made you great. It would be extremely hard. Aaron Miller just told us how hard it was. Now, he said, my body was broken, so I had to walk away, but I didn't want to. I hope this is Brady just having a tough time at the beginning, and I hope in 2 months, and 4 months, and 6 months, he'll have more clarity to realize I shouldn't come back. It wouldn't be advantageous for me to come back and play when I haven't spent my 8 months in the playbook, when I haven't had my throwing sessions with my wide receivers, when I haven't invited my receivers out to stay at my place and gotten to know them. I don't want to see Tom Brady walk into what Cam Newton walked into this year. I don't want to see him walk into, what Geno Smith walked into in Seattle, a team with no defense and no line and a hard schedule. I'm not interested in that for Tom Brady. I want my frozen in time moment, and my frozen in time moment is him winning a Super Bowl last year and him possibly being the MVP this year. That's what I'm interested in. That's the moment that I'm interested in for Tom Brady, and that is how I want him to go out. That's it. That's how I want him to go out. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Tomorrow on the show, we will get to even more Super Bowl coverage. We've got more takeaways from things being said from Los Angeles, including some interesting stuff on a former Patriot coming out of Los Angeles. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Patriots coaching staff is in a real interesting place. Joe Judge is back as an offensive assistant. What's going to happen with the offensive coordinator now? So we're going to talk about that. And we got a couple of great guests lined up tomorrow as well. We're going to talk tomorrow with, let me see, who's on tomorrow's show? Lofa Tatupu is stopping by, former Seahawks linebacker. His father, Mosi, played for the Patriots for a number of years, so Lofa Tatupu is in on the show. I think Kyle Glazer from Baseball America is going to be on the show talking about the Red Sox, so we'll have a lot of good stuff on Radio Row at Home Day 3 tomorrow. I think tomorrow is a 3-guest show, so we will have another great day of coverage leading up to the Super Bowl. The full show podcast and all of our interviews, by the way, available on the Brady Farkas Show podcast channel and Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. High school basketball, Brent Curtis on the call for Randolph and Spalding on the boys' side. That's next on WDEV, AM and FM, and always streaming at WDEVradio.com.
Hey, country music fans, Lee Bryce here, inviting you to go on tour with me and my band. Play the Vermont Lottery's $5 Big Country Cash instant ticket, and you could win up to $20,000. And there's a second chance drawing to join me on the road. And we're talking concerts, backstage passes, and more. Basically, where I go, you go, all in the comfort of a luxury tour bus. For your chance to say, hey, I'm with the band, try the Big Country Cash instant ticket. I like your soul.
Visit a Vermont Lottery retailer today. Please play responsibly.
Hi, this is Anson.